Justice Reyes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Will you agree with me that at the moment we are almost 100 million in terms of population?
I think so, that's correct.
And likewise, will you further agree with me that from the NEDA's data or statistics, about 58% of the Filipinos belongs to poor and underprivileged.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And about 28% of the poor families are below the poverty line.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm more concerned on the equal protection clause because that when the Congress envisioned the law, which is the RH law, it had in mind foremost the plight of the poor families. Am I correct?
That's what
Foremost.
they say, Your Honor.
Statistics-wise, those families who belong to the lowest strata in our society have more children than like us who belong to at least a middle class or a say educated group of
Yes, Your
families. But according to you, a certain provision of that RH law is violative of the equal protection clause of the Constitution.
Particularly Section 14, Your Honor, on sex education.
Because according to you, the main target of that law is focused on the poor families, and marginalized members of our society.
That's another objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Will you agree with me, Mr. Counsel, that under the equal protection clause of our Constitution, it means that no person or class of persons shall be deprived of some protection of laws which is enjoyed by other persons or classes in the same place and in like circumstances.
Yes, if they are similarly situated, that's correct, Your Honor.
Hence, the equal protection clause does not require the universal application of the laws on all persons or things.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Of course, this is without the distinctions. This might in fact sometimes result in unequal protection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. What the law requires is equality among equals as determined according to a valid classification.
That's correct, Your Honor.
By classification is meant the grouping of persons or things similar to each other,
Yes, Your Honor.
or certain particulars and different from all others in this and different from all others in these same particulars.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Right. Now, would you agree with me, Mr. Counsel, that you and I and most of us here belong to what we call who belong to the middle class, at least to the middle class family?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you agree with that? And and we are not in equal footings with the poor and underprivileged members of society, especially those who live beyond poverty lines.
Yes, I think that's a fair statement, Your Honor.
So along this point, Mr. Counsel, would you agree with me that the law, which although focus foremost on the poor and underprivileged, does not violate the equal protection clause of the Constitution?
The fact that the law puts An inordinate emphasis on the poor, Your Honor.
Yes, because according to you, there is indeed a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution, because the law foremost zeroed in on the poor and underprivileged people, or members of the poor families.
You can look at it that way if we see it from the point of view of having that basic right to life, the right to bear as many children as he or she wants. If that is an acceptable premise, then if you overly concentrate the RH law on the poor, you are in effect discriminating against them, because you will be flooding them with contraceptives, which you will not do for the other groups in the population, in a way that is violative of their equal protection.
But I would like to view this as, in as much as we are not on the same footings, of course we are all, many of us here, or I would say everybody, is educated and belongs to the at least middle class family. And
Yes,
as
sir.
such, we know our rights and obligations, especially to our society. And as statistics-wise, we know for a fact that many of us who belong to at least middle-class families and educated have less children than those who belong to the poor families and underprivileged. So
That's correct,
would not be under this particular circumstance or situation that the government envisioned this RHB law. That is to prevent the multiplications of people who in the end will be a burden to our society.
That's a sensitive topic, Your Honor, because it might traverse what is unacceptable, which is the equivalent of a eugenics, where, if you recall, in the World War II, during World War II, Hitler thought that the Jews are undesirable. So he started to eliminate them, Your Honor. If that were the intention of the law, I think that would be most unfortunate.
But I don't think that that is not the intention of the law, because the law only prevents the procreations, the untimely procreations. That's why the law states that there is no life yet. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why we are the government is trying its best to spend for the contraceptives and other devices in order to prevent or avoid unnecessary multiplications of populations, because most of the multiplicants belong to the poor and underprivileged. Because it would be a different matter or story if those who will multiply belong to classes like us, the middle class, the affluent, and the like.
I think, Your Honor, the fact that they are poor should not mean that they will have less in life.
But
The fact that they are poor should not be a reason for the government to prevent their procreation or their growth. There are studies saying that a natural way to control the size of family is through economic progress. When a family progresses economically, automatically there will be a natural desire to limit the size of family. So the solution is to make the poor get out of the rut, for government to help them become like you and me, middle class at least. That way, by natural consequence, they will understand that probably they would need not so many children. But for government to come in and declare and make a judgment that you are propagating too much, too soon, that you are a burden to society, I think is most unfair and violative of the basic equal protection envisioned by our Constitution, Your Honor.
Too realistic, ano?
Yeah, I know,
Because,
Your Honor.
We look around our surroundings. Nakakaawa eh. Nakikita
Yes, Your Honor.
natin that they have no basic necessities in life. They don't even have shelters, no food, no health services, education, etc. And mind you, these people will multiply and multiply because they have no knowledge about us, about family planning. They just want to procreate and procreate. It's because in the end, there might be a possibility that one of the children might perhaps alleviate their sufferings. That's really the most of the mentalities of the people, especially those. I'm not belittling the poor, but I'm just very realistic at this point.
Probably,
Mr.
Your Honor,
Counsel.
the solution is to train their children. Because if you train their children, they'll learn to earn a living. And I remember in one report by Vice President Binay, he mentioned that a good chunk of our OFWs belong to the non-skilled. These probably are the people that came from the slums, but were able to get an opportunity to acquire some non-technical skills. And now they're earning and sending support to their family and also adding to the coffers of government. In other words, it's just a question of harnessing these people. According to all demographers, according to Gary Becker, a Nobel Prize winner, human capital is very important for the existence of a country. And that's the reason why Detroit, one of the reasons, key reasons why Detroit collapsed and declared bankruptcy, Your Honor. So it's not a case of the poor being so many, but a case of the poor lacking training and education. That should be the law that should be passed by Congress, Your Honor.